Conspiracy theories, be it the belief that the Earth is a flat disk serving as a vinyl disc to giant aliens looking to play some sick beats, or the belief that we're controlled by evil lizard people that manifest themselves as an army of Mark Zuckerbergs. We've all heard some at one point from either schizos on the internet or schizos in the family. They're an inescapable part of life, much like the final rest or taxes. But in the Balkans, they seem to play a larger role than anywhere else in the world. As someone who's spent more than half of his life in this magic peninsula and who's had more fights with my family over George Soros' involvement in the Serbian lizard government during Christmas dinner than what the German KDA was in the 1940s, I've decided to share some with you that I've heard about over the years and found the most ridiculous. So without further ado, let's begin. It's impossible to talk about Balkan conspiracy theories without mentioning the most famous and notable of all, Baba Vanga. Baba Vanga is a Bulgarian fortune teller and healer who has been active for the majority of the 20th century. Born in the territory of modern-day Macedonia in the Ottoman Empire in 1911, Baba Vanga, at a young age, moved with her family to the village of Novo Selo in Bulgaria, where one day a large tornado appeared in the field nearby where she was playing. It picked her up, swirled her around a bit, and finally threw her into a field where a bunch of dust and debris got into her eyes, greatly damaging them. Gradually, over the years, she lost her sight due to the incident. However, as she lost her sight, she was able to obtain mystical powers to heal and see into the future. During World War II, her talents became well known across the territories of Yugoslavia and Bulgaria, and many started to visit her as to get their fortune told and ailments healed. During this time period, many people were greatly concerned about the status of their loved ones partaking in the war. Thus, they sought out fortune tellers to get any sense of reassurance. As a result, Baba Vanga's predictions quickly became popular as, according to some sources, she had an 80% accuracy. After the war, Bulgaria became communist, and considering commies are fun-hating bastards, they quickly sought to put a stop to Vanga's fortune telling. But due to her popularity and seemingly high accuracy in predicting the future, the Bulgarian Academy of Science took her under their wing and tried to explain her phenomena. Over the 80s and 90s, her cult of personality really took off, and at this time period, she started to predict world events and catastrophes such as the breakups of the USSR, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, the Chernobyl disaster, Stalin's death, her own death, Princess Diana's death, 9/11, Barack Obama becoming president, the Sumatra earthquake and tsunami, and many others. Because of this, she became insanely popular in a large number of Eastern European countries, most notably Russia, where a lot of tabloids and boomers started spreading the word of her predictions and how she foretold the coming of these world-shattering events. However, this is also where the controversy begins. Despite what the media for the masses tells you, there are virtually no written records of her predictions, and a lot of the first-hand media of her is few in numbers and in shit quality, considering it was made in literal communist Bulgaria. As a result, a lot of her predictions came from second-hand sources, from people who claim to have met her and that claim to have heard this from her. Her direct family has also denied many of her predictions and claimed she never stated anything as such. Other critics have also noted that over her time on our Earth, Baba Vanga has made thousands of predictions annually, and as such, a broken clock is bound to be right sometimes. This hasn't stopped tabloids and many other media to propagate this conspiracy theory that Baba Vanga could see into the future, which over time has made Baba Vanga a huge meme across the Balkans and the star of many jokes. The second entry comes from the city I'm living in, Cluj, Romania. Lying near Romania's second most populated city is Hoia Baciu, aka the Baciu Forest. Like many other conspiracy theories in the Balkans, the Baciu Forest is believed to radiate mystical energy and be a magnet for the supernatural. Since essentially the medieval ages, the forest has been the theme of many legends. The most common legend is that of people going there and mysteriously disappearing. The people that would vanish there would be locals, shepherds, and paranormal hunters. One of the most notable urban legends of the forest is that a girl once went to play there. However, she never made it back home. After 5 years of the Romanian authorities and townsfolk searching for her, she just one day showed up with no recollection of her memories other than going to the forest. However, according to other legends and stories, others weren't so lucky, as they instead turned up dead. Fueling these legends are the trees in the forest that grow in a weird formation that scientists have still not explained to this day. Oddly enough, in the middle of the forest there is also an almost perfect circular opening where no foliage except for grass grows. This of course has made many Romanian scientists intrigued about the forest. As such, many flock to it to examine its soil, wind patterns, and magnetic activity. In 1968, a military technician, Emil Barnea, was taking a stroll through the forest with his girlfriend. She then claimed to see a strange object in the sky, which he too saw. Having his camera on him, he captured photos of this object. Although there was no evidence of footage tampering, to this day no one was able to confirm what it was that the pair saw. This brought more people to come investigate the forest, and more mysterious objects were captured on film, albeit in shitty quality because, again, communist Romania. Others claimed they were followed by shadowy figures and tried to capture them on film. On some footage you can see floating human faces, and on others even more UFOs. The communist regime tried to limit the spread of these photos and even investigated themselves, but nothing really turned up. All in all, today, the Hoia Forest serves as essentially Romania's Area 51, as there's numerous unconfirmed sightings of aliens. And if we're being frank, I visited the forest several times, and it serves as a popular hiking destination. It's just a typical forest with bad 4G connection. Okay, but real quick, you've probably wanted to learn a second language, and so have I. Several, in fact. And let's just say that the more resources you have for this task, the better. And one of the best resources for this task is none other than story learning. Now, for those of you that don't know, I recently started learning Japanese, and let's just say it's not been the easiest language out there.
Welcome to Japanese 101, where we teach you words that you probably shouldn't use in public.
One of the main things I've struggled with is the alien grammar. However, I was delighted to get sponsored by Story Learning. Now, Story Learning offers courses in 11 different languages, and they utilize a method of teaching you your desired language through, well, stories. As you read a story, you go over the vocabulary in that language and have the grammar from the story explained to you in simple terms. And as someone who's used a variety of different methods, apps, software, and textbooks, I can tell you this method is quite useful. So, if you're someone who's like me and has used a variety of different apps and methods and doesn't want to spend thousands on private tutoring lessons, then Story Learning is for you. The courses on there are made by fellow YouTuber Ollie Richards, which both me and my fiance have watched for a long time. So, I can wholeheartedly recommend his work. And if you're not interested in story learning, at least go check out his channel, because if you like this video, there's a chance you'll like his stuff as well. But for story learning, with my link in the description, you can get any of the 11 languages available for only $97 instead of $297. And that's for a limited time only. So go click the link in the description right now and get your language course today. The Dacian tunnels are a popular conspiracy theory amongst Romanian nationalist schizophrenics, and it takes many forms. Now, to provide some background info so your brain doesn't completely rot, Romania's three major regions are divided via the Carpathian Mountains. In the south, that divides Transylvania and Wallachia, lie the Southern Carpathians and the Bucegi Mountains. Within them, you can find a unique rock formation that, if you look from a certain angle, looks like the Sphinx in Egypt. The Romanians love this rock so much that they even put it in their passports. Now, with that in mind, the area of modern-day Romania back in antiquity was inhabited by the Dacians, who were a proto-Balkan people who we still don't know a lot about due to a lack of written records. And this is where the conspiracy theory starts. Like every other ultra-nationalists in this godforsaken region, the Romanian ultra-nationalists are under the impression that the Dacians were these technologically advanced peoples that were ahead of their time and never got conquered by the Romans, but instead they were the ones to influence the Romans. As such, the theory states that the Sphinx in Egypt was actually based on the one in Romania. The Dacians, being basically more advanced than the Atlanteans, built a network of tunnels throughout the Bucegi Mountains. These tunnels, depending on who you ask, are either infused with ancient Dacian or alien technology that allow them to basically travel through time and end up in Egypt, where they either built the Sphinx themselves or thought the Egyptians to do it. A subgroup believes that instead of aliens, the tunnels were enchanted by the Dacian god Zamloxis, because of whom the mountain and tunnels are able to disappear. And inside the tunnels there lies ancient Dacian treasure that Decibel, the last king of the Dacians, hid from the Romans. In reality, the Romanian Sphinx was formed due to wind erosion. However, there exists a very niche conspiracy theorist group that believes this. And to this day, they are searching the Bucegi Mountains to find these ancient Dacian tunnels and the secret treasure that is rumored to lie in the depths of them. Overall, the theory is so out there that, much like Baba Vanga, it became an extremely popular meme in Romania, with countless jokes being told between friends about how they found the tunnels. Continuing the theme of Romania and the Dacians, we have another popular schizo theory amongst Romania's 0.1% nationalists. That being that Jesus was Dacian, and by default, Romanian. Like with any Balkan nation, there's always a conspiracy theory about Jesus' true origin, more often than not claiming that he wasn't a Hebrew, but actually Serbian, Bulgarian, Macedonian, Greek, or whatever the hell. In Romania, a popular one amongst its boomer conspiracy theorists is that Jesus was Dacian. Now, as I said previously, the Dacians overall are mysterious and not a lot is known about them. As such, they're a very popular subject when it comes to conspiracy theories in Romania. Besides the Bucegi Mountains containing Dacian tunnels is that Jesus came from them. This theory was popularized by none other than one of Cluj's ex-mayors, Gheorghe Funar. I'm not even kidding. Funar went as far as to write a book about it and publish it, which to this day you can find in Romanian libraries. The essence of the theory comes from the fact that Dacian priests were referred to as teachers, those who walked through clouds and founders of cities. As such, Jesus was referred to as such, and his tribe is believed to come from a Dacian preacher tribe, which proves that he is Dacian. Furthermore, he was crucified because the Romans hated the Dacians. That's the basis of it. Now, to be fair, the mayor who popularized this theory also stated that he believed Albert Einstein was a retard who, with the help of the Jews, stole the theory of relativity from the Romanian poet Mihai Eminescu and propagated it as his own, despite not even being able to pass elementary school. I know, absolutely genius. Which, as a whole, speaks great volumes of the legitimacy of the theory. But at the end of the day, Gheorghe Funar was mayor and I wasn't, so what the hell do I even know? Okay, so the HAARP system is cheating a bit, as essentially it is a global conspiracy theory that goes beyond borders. However, with that said, it became hugely popular in the mid-2010s across the Balkans, because of which I consider it a Balkan conspiracy theory. To add some context to those watching who haven't completely mentally lost it yet, HAARP stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research, which is a research project based in Alaska. It was founded and financed by the US Army from 1999 to 2014, when it was handed off to the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Its purpose was to analyze and study the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere, known as the ionosphere, in the effort to develop radio and communication technology. Basically, science stuff that I don't even know that much about, and if I start talking about it, I'm pretty sure I'd bore 90% of you. However, it started to be believed that HAARP was able to manipulate and control the weather and cause natural catastrophes. This theory became extremely popular in the Balkans, particularly in Serbia and Romania, where conspiracy theorists believe that HAARP is a secret US weapon that is facilitating climate change and is and will be used to continually target them. In Serbia, the theory became immensely popular during 2014 when the country was going through severe floods where the National Army and Guard had to be activated to help the civilian population suffering the disaster. As such, conspiracy theorists in Serbia start to believe that the US was targeting them with the HAARP system because they wouldn't recognize Kosovo and to put more pressure onto the recognition of what they deemed as a false country. The Romanians too believed this, but changed it up a bit, and went with the old theory that because they come from technologically advanced peoples like the Dacians, the US was targeting them with the HAARP to stunt their growth and development and prevent them from reaching their true potential. This caught on to a decent minority of schizos who then started targeting phone antennas and telecommunication infrastructure, thinking it was the HAARP system and causing bad weather. So many would tear them off and throw bricks at them, which caused a decent amount of infrastructure damage. Even in Brazil, these attacks took place. Fortunately, over the years, this theory became less popular and sort of exists only in the zeitgeist of the Balkans. Alien conspiracy theories are nothing new. Ever since we've thought of their existence, they've plagued our culture and numerous conspiracy theories have sprung up as a result of it. As such, alien theories in Serbia are no different. And over the years, the country had a variety of conspiracy theories regarding alien involvement within the nation and the Balkans as a whole. There exist theories from their involvement in magical mountains in the countryside and pyramids of Bosnia to them meddling in Serbian politics. However, one of the most recognizable conspiracy theories was that there are literal Serbian aliens living among us in certain villages. This theory has been in the country since I remember, with a lot of esoteric boomers mentioning it in some way or form. However, it became popularized after a satire tabloid, Zona Sumraka, aka The Twilight Zone, published a series of pages depicting a serialized drama of aliens dressed in Serbian clothes. These aliens talked shit about neighboring countries like Bulgaria, with the tabloid putting up a deep question such as, why do aliens like Serbs but not Bulgarians? How aliens are having a better time going out than Serbs are, how aliens are opening up an Orthodox church in Kosovo, and many other topics from influencing politics, kidnapping the Serbian president, and many other shitposts. Overall, the Alien Serb series became a popular and fun meme online, and the vast majority of normal people saw it as just that. However, some Serbian boomers with a media literacy lower than that of the general literacy in Uganda thought it was real. And quickly, rumors of extraterrestrials residing in Serbia start to spread. This overall made the joke even funnier, as there were actual people who believed it. But today it too has died out, and the typical conspiracy theories about aliens prevail.
Hoćeš reći cigani?
Pa da, cigani, ali nisam htio baš tako reći da se ko ne uvrijedi.
Similar to the Serbian aliens conspiracy theory, Elon Musk being a Serb is another that started off as a joke but found home in Serbian nationalist circles. In Serbia, amongst high nationalist circles, there is a huge deal about claiming successful people from different countries as their own. The most prominent case of this is between Albanian and Serbian nationalists, who are constantly claiming each other's celebrities and historical figures as belonging to their identity, like Skanderbeg and Nikola Tesla. As such, there are a variety of conspiracy theories about the actual origin of famous celebrities and historical figures. One of the most ridiculous ones is that Elon Musk is actually Serbian from Republika Srpska.
I am from Republic of Srpska. There has been a lot of debating lately whether or not I am Serb, but now the time has come to proudly say, yes, I am.
This theory was popularized via the infamous and controversial YouTube channel Balkan Info, that is no stranger to interviewing conspiracy theorists and historical revisionists, such as Miroslav Petrovic, who I already made a video about. Jovanka Jolic, one of their guests, claimed that Elon Musk was from Republika Srpska and needed to change his name so he could succeed in life. According to the theory, Elon's family comes from a Serbian Bosnian tribe that changes their name and identity when they move from country to country due to ancient tradition and fitting in whilst avoiding ethnic conflict. However, this theory stemmed from a joke where some shitposters generated an AI video of Musk claiming to be from Republika Srpska, and consequently posted this on Facebook to their meme page. This then started circulating amongst the boomer population, who have quite nationalistic tendencies and aren't averse to grand conspiracy theories, whilst also not being familiar with AI technology. They then picked up the video and shared it as far and wide as it could go. Soon enough, it started circulating in unironic circles, with people taking the video as fact. And as such, this iconic theory was born and is still active.
Živela Serbia.
Out of all the previously mentioned conspiracy theories that are so ridiculous there is no way in hell they are true, this one proved to actually be fact. Throughout the 90s and early 2000s, Aum Shinrikyo was a doomsday Japanese cult based in Japan that organized a variety of chemical terror attacks in Japanese cities and murdered oppositionaries and whistleblowers. They were able to expand their following abroad, mainly in Russia. And upon the police getting involved, many of their members fled abroad to avoid conviction for the terrorist acts their group committed. Japan quickly subdued the group and more or less destroyed their activities in the country. However, throughout the early 2000s, a rumor started to spread that the doomsday Japanese cult had fled and was active in Montenegro, of all places. As you can imagine, for the longest of times, this rumor was dismissed as basically more Balkan schizo rants. It also didn't help that the country barely had 500,000 inhabitants who were pastier than the Pillsbury Doughboy, making any foreigner stick out like a well-groomed man in an anime convention. However, in 2016, the Montenegrin police arrested 58 foreigners. Upon inspection of their personal belongings, such as electronics, it was confirmed that they were actually members of Aum Shinrikyo. They weren't kept in the country, but then deported to their home countries, most of which went back to Russia, Ukraine, Japan, and even Uzbekistan. Considering Balkaners don't really pay attention to niche events outside of Europe and superpower countries, this theory, or should I say event, was kind of forgotten and hasn't really been relevant for years. Going back to Serbia, in the eastern part of the country there exists a famous mountain known as Rtanj. Along its natural beauty, the mountain became famous because of its almost near exact symmetrical shape and it resembling a pyramid. Conspiracy theorists believe it emits a special kind of energy and electromagnetic field which scientists were able to measure and verify. It is said that the mountains also emit high levels of radiation. It also has a special flower that grows on it, which has magical properties, and people make tea out of it to cure their ailments, which is known as Rtanj tea, which is an actual thing, although its magical properties are questionable to say the least. Much like Hoia Baciu, the locals have a bunch of theories and legends about paranormal activities occurring at the mountain, consisting from aliens to local Serbian ghosts and demons such as Drekavac, which forms from a dead baby that wasn't baptized and latches onto its victims, screaming directly into its ear, either terrifying them or severely annoying them. In 2012, when the end of the world was predicted by the Mayans, many Serbs and foreigners apparently went to the mountain because they believed it is the only place in the world where they'd be safe from the apocalypse due to its magical energy. And as you should know, they went there and nothing happened. Because nothing ever happens. It was also theorized that either aliens or ancient advanced civilizations built pyramids across the world with their advanced technology, which is integrated into the Rtanj mountain, which emits electromagnetic energy from these ancient technologically advanced alien devices integrated within it. The theory is not well known across the country, but in western Serbia it is quite popular. As such, many locals have stories about these magical and paranormal events regarding the mountain, which usually they heard from someone who knows someone. We return back to Romania with another classic, this time regarding everyone's favorite dictator, Nicolae Ceausescu. During the Cold War, Ceausescu, upon first getting into power, was a bit of a rebel. As such, he opposed the Soviet Union in many ways. As such, tensions between the USSR and Romania rose. In 1968, the USSR invaded Czechoslovakia and called upon the Warsaw Pact to its aid. But Romania refused to aid it in the suppression of the rebellion, which in the eyes of Moscow was unacceptable. Because of this, many believed that Romania would be next on the Soviet site of conquest. But this invasion never happened, and as you can imagine, a conspiracy theory came out as a result of this. The theory stated that Romania had developed an incredibly powerful laser that could melt Soviet tanks with ease in a matter of seconds, and the Soviets, aware of this weapon, didn't dare to test the Romanians' secret weapon. However, there was some truth to this, but it was extremely over-exaggerated. The Soviets at the time developed an experimental laser tank known as the TK-17, Satia, I don't know, and shared it with Romania. However, the laser couldn't melt anything, but could only disrupt optical electrical equipment mounted on missiles or vehicles. But that didn't stop conspiracy theorists from going wild, with some even claiming that the laser was derived from ancient Dacian technology found in the mountains of Hungary. Last but not least, we have one of the Hungarian best scientific theories about their origin, that being that they come from the Sirius star system. This conspiracy theory came from a Hungarian sci-fi film also called Sirius, in which the protagonists use a time machine called Sirius to travel through time. As the origin of the Hungarians, much like most Balkan peoples, is kind of mysterious and there aren't many bulletproof theories regarding how they came here, many conspiracy theories found home in this speculation. One of the most out there states that the Hungarians actually come from aliens that inhabited the Sirius star system, who traveled to Earth and created humans. However, not all humans are equal, and Hungarians were their favorites, so they would give them better characteristics, making them smarter, for example. The evidence for this theory is that the Hungarians have much more Nobel Prize winners than other nations because of these superior Syrian genes. And as a result, it is undeniable proof that humanity came from Sirius, and Hungarians are more closely related to aliens than other nations, which, to be fair, if you just look at the language, this might seem viable. But this theory is also extremely schizo, very few people actually believe it, and it too, like many others I've mentioned before, became a subject of satire, with most only mentioning it ironically. And yeah, those would be some of the most outlandish Balkan conspiracy theories I've heard over the years of living here. What are some that you found out about and that I've missed? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, and if you really enjoyed it, become a member like these lovely people, or get some of my merch at theironicsshop.com. My name is Janos, and you've watched Living Ironically in Europe.
Hey, why are you